Have you ever been shot? Back in 2007 I was 19 years old. I got attacked at a party and was shot 7 times in the back, ass, and legs with a 40 cal handgun. So was another fella. Hey, I lived. How well that night. The doctor removed 6 bullets, but had to leave the 7th, as it was too close to a nerve. Well, I never did see any of those 6 bullets. Not sure who got them or if they just tossed them. But that 7th stayed with me. For 8 years the damn thing dug and moved and dug its way through my leg. My body was rejecting it that whole time, pushing it out. It hurt like an sob. But one day it basically surfaced just under my skin. The skin got hard, calloused and kinda purply, plus it hurt when I rolled over it when I slept. Believe this or not, I had my mother and brother cut it out on our front porch. We had a scalpel and some of those pincher/pliers doctors use, and cut it out. We thought maybe it was gonna be a piece, some shrapnel of a bullet. It was the whole thing. Banana peeled back on itself. Long story short, it's mine. I own it. If the shooter wants it back, it'll be an equal trade. Most of the stories I've read before about being shot in the extremities all sound pretty consistent. My ears rang. I felt a rush of hot air against my arm, leg, and it started bleeding for some reason. Kinda makes me less scared of getting shot, I guess. Well, a person should be afraid of being shot. It's not pleasant. But it all happened so quick you don't have time to process a whole lot. I heard the bangs, but was so happy I could open my eyes after hearing and feeling the shots. It was unbelievable to lay there in the dirt thinking, wow, I just got shot. Was it painful instantly, or was there some time where your body was in shock and just paused for a bit? The bullets entering my body felt more like being hit with a heavy bat swung by our MLB professional than a knife. It was super heavy feeling. Have you also been stabbed? No, but I've been a self-bloodletter for longer than all this. If that's a thing you are willing to recognize. Knew a guy who was in the army and got shot a couple times. I worked retail with him for a few years. Right before I left we had a line of difficult customers, and when the store was empty he turned to me and said, "Can I got back to being shot at again? Being shot is super easy. You just sorta lay there. It's surviving and healing that is the real itch. I'd never want to deal with that again. Bullets rip through your flesh and leave scars that rip and tear as you move while healing. It sucked. Rip and tear until it is done. That's what happened. The ripping and the tearing. The ripping and the tearing." I wasn't shot, but bullet ricocheted right on my carotid artery. Luckily it was about 1mm too shallow to hit my artery. Still hurt like a itch, and I have a cool scar on my neck. The last bullet the doc didn't remove was close to the major nerve in my leg. He didn't remove it because there was a chance he might nick it, and that's not worth it on a kid with no insurance. After 8 years that round traveled from the center of my leg to the skin surface. I felt every inch. Oh sorry man. No, but you have my acknowledgement of the pain. Was shot at by an RPG. Fricker skimmed the top of our Humvee and our turret gunner felt the heat of the round going by on the back of his neck. 0 out of 10. Do not recommend. Thank you for your service, sir. May your enemies fall at your feet and their women covet your sheets. As far as women coveting my sheets, my wife might not like that very much, lol. It's still nice to watch women fawn over you as you sip coffee in your bedroom window. Damn, never heard this perspective on getting shot, especially so many times. Read all your replies. Interesting stuff, thanks for sharing. Physically it's one thing, but mentally it's another. Dreams were the worst. I wish I found you, the Reddit community, a long time ago. You all seem to at least listen. Maybe you've already answered this question, but I haven't seen your reply. Who was the shooter? Why did he do this? I've been grazed by a bullet from a .38 revolver or smaller when I was 18. Caught some guys breaking into a car and yelled at them from a decent distance, about 100 feet or so in the dark. I got lucky, didn't even know I was hit until a neighbor pointed out I was bleeding. I've got a small scar, but wasn't enough to warrant any medical care nor the police to be interested in reporting it as a gunshot. Hell of an adrenaline rush and made me addict to chasing that rush since. It's a cool story that gets me a little street cred when I talk about it for whatever it's worth. A friend had a piece of glass metal come out of his neck 15 years after a motorcycle accident. I used to work in a state prison, and when doing a cell search I discovered 3 9mm FMJ in his property. The inmate went on to show me where he was shot and how his body had rejected them while incarcerated, so he kept them as a trophy. Obviously, they were confiscated, but it was the weirdest confiscation slip I ever had to write. I have been shot in paintball, and once a guy in the street with a paintball gun started showing me, being shot by a real round is actually very similar to being shot by a high-powered frozen paintball, except the healing process. This seems real in my opinion. Not many people would spontaneously come up with such a story. It's real. It fricked up the best years of my life. How do I post a pic holding a current calendar while also showing my scars? I have nice big one going down my stomach. Make an account in Imgur and upload your pic. Not an actual gun, but when I was 14 I was shot in the chest by an air rifle. Compressed enough that the BB got lodged in my muscle. Removal was turned down in fear of ruining muscle tissue. 17 years later it's still in there. Man, that sounds metal as frick. Do you have a picture of it just for my curiosity? Should turn it into a pendant for a necklace. I'm a nurse, and the thing that surprised me about gunshot victims is how many survive. Like in movies, when a person gets shot 7 times, they dead. Unless it's a zombie movie. But in real life, bullets do crazy things. Like enter the skin and travel alongside the skull and exit rather than blowing up brain, or entering the abdomen, but delicately avoiding the intestines and leaving this person's life without so much as a love letter. Did the guy who shot you go to jail? No, I haven't, but when I was about 8 or 9 there was a junkyard in my town which I was having fun messing around in. It was nearby my house. I was just kind of walking around picking up and looking at all the cool stuff in the rubble, and I vaguely remember this, but I think I went up on top of a stack of fridges that were placed sideways on the ground. I don't remember how I got up them though. Anyway, I was on top of the fridges and looking around when I tried to walk to the edge and I rolled my ankle off the side and fell. When I landed I wasn't really badly hurt, just a little dazed, so I got up, only I couldn't get up because my leg was stuck on something. So I turned around and there was a rusty old piece of rebar sticking through my leg. Surprisingly I wasn't that fazed by it. I just kind of lifted my leg off the bar and limped back to my house to show my parents. After that I don't remember much, but they got me to the hospital and I know the doctor said it went between my tibia and fibula, and when I tried to move it twisted and fractured my fibula. I also know he told me it didn't really hurt that much, because my body was in extreme shock. But after all that I'm still here and my leg is perfectly fine, so I guess I didn't really feel much of anything. It was just kinda weird. The land of the free. So free your kids get shot 7 times at a party. Seriously, America, sort yourself out, this is embarrassing. What was truly embarrassing and hurtful was the cop's response. Sorry son, you got shot on the wrong side of town. No one is going to investigate this further, especially since you don't have any witnesses. Good luck, kid. Ambulance is here. That it fricked me up for years, thinking I wasn't even worth the time to find my attempted killer. Honestly, it amazes me how proud Americans are of their nation when this sort of thing happens. And I'm getting downvoted for pointing out that this should not strike embarrassment into every American that tolerates another lost life. Thank you, friend. As a non-American, this reads almost like a cruel joke on the American system. Getting shot at a party and cutting the bullet out yourself because you don't have insurance. You seem to take it very cool, pretty freaking badass. Dude, you can't post a story like that without adding the picture of the bullet. How close was the bullet to the skin immediately after you got shot? I had a bullet hit me under my right nipple and they didn't remove it, said it was embedded in muscle. I can feel it on my right side. It's a hard pointed lump. I'm just curious, because I'd rather not have a home surgery, Mayo. How much does it hurt? My uncle shot himself in the leg one time lol. My friend got shot in the stomach with a .45 when confronting someone. Blew his stomach apart, but he survived. Had 2 acquaintances get shot about 6 months before that, but they didn't make it. What happened to the shooter in your case? I begged someone to shoot me in the leg, and they did. I'm a collector of experiences, the type of man-child that truly would fight Mike Tyson at his peak, for free, knowing I ain't gonna win and might even die in the process, because there's no other experience like it in the world. Which is to say I'm stupid. So I'm on the wrong side of town about 10 years ago, smoking and drinking at a tweaker barbecue in the Latino neighborhood. They all regularly kick it in this big yard, and like I said, I was cross-faded. Can't even remember the kid's name, but he's about 16. Got his girlfriend and his best friend with him. He pulls out what he called a gun. A fricking .25 that looked like he put 50 cents in the gumball machine and won the grand prize. I somehow managed to see my way around basic logic and talk crazy it to this kid whom is obviously trying to show off and act hard. I go full retard. The idea of a relatively safe gunshot wound is a good experience, I'm thinking. I roll up my pant leg and beg this dude to shoot me in the shin. I insult the hell out of him, embarrass him, but he's not budging. Finally, we're at the back of the lot alone. Pant leg still up, and me now begging him to do it. I still remember kid said I ain't gonna shoot you, man. He and his people turned to leave and I'm visibly disappointed. No way was I getting a better chance than this. I drop my pant leg. Kid whirls on me and blasts me in the shin. The bullet goes through my pant leg, craters about a quarter-inch deep, then rolls out of my pants onto the ground. You see, I hadn't rolled up my pant leg as some macho or gangster it. I was wearing my favorite pair of Levi's silver tab jeans. I am a silver tab junkie, and these had been my most comfortable ever. Old Faithful. In the biggest bro move I ever saw, his best friend snatches up the bullets and him, his girlfriend, and best friend broke out. It was different. I wasn't bleeding. You could see a little bone where the skin had peeled off at impact, but not much pain. At that caliber I'm guessing it's something you can't take the edge out with more weed. So I did that. Had a beer, smoked, ate, and a few HRS after went home. Scars almost faded away now, but the memory of those jeans still haunts me.